And welcome in everybody to another edition of Mock Draft Mondays here at the High Low Sports Podcast. We are just a couple of weeks away from the NFL draft, so this is one of the final mock draft Mondays we will have heading into the NFL draft. And for this one, we've had a few new rumors. It is kind of the smokescreen season where some things get out there, some feelers are thrown out there, different things are released through agents, through media to try and up or drop different draft player stocks to try and get so the teams can get the player they're looking for. So we're going to play a little bit off of those today. One area we won't see a smoke screen is at number one. All but locked in this point, USC quarterback Caleb Williams to the Chicago Bears. That has not changed this entire process and probably will not at this point. Number two, the Washington Commanders. Drake May has been absolutely ripped through a lot of this NFL draft process, and he's starting to almost come back on that upswing a little bit. We saw it kind of with CJ Stroud last year through the Wonderlic scores and a lot of the other things teams more or less tried to bring down his draft stock, and then as it got closer, it kind of swung back up. I think we'll see the same thing with Drake May. I don't think it'll be a Will Levis situation where he goes seemingly up there, then slips to the second round. So I think we'll see Drake May go number two to the Commanders. They need a little bit of a spark and a little bit of life, and he's someone they'll see the upside with. Like, okay, we can compete if this guy meets what the potential threshold shows. Pick number three, the New England Patriots. I think they're very much in the business of looking to trade down. However, with Jaden Daniels sitting there, I think that is the player they're going to go with. I think if Daniels goes number two, there is a good chance that New England will look to trade down. Not that they don't like Drake May, but I think they just want more picks in that case. And I think they're willing to test the waters there. But here, we're going to say if Jaden Daniels is available, they will take him at pick number three. Pick number four, the Arizona Cardinals. Once again, open for business to trades, but I think it's going to take a lot, and they're not going to be willing to give up a Marvin Harrison Jr. prospect. So far, the top four picks, not a lot of variety here, as we've seen in most mock drafts and most of what everyone expects. So we're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals at pick number four. Receivers arguably the biggest need, and it doesn't get much better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Pick number five is where we are finally going to see a trade. I think Minnesota is going to climb up there, as we've kind of talked about a lot. This has been the consensus. They got those two first-round picks for a reason. So we're going to say Minnesota offers both ones, and they'd probably even throw in a one next year. But for the sake of this one-round mock draft Monday, we're just going to worry about those two ones. I think Minnesota at this point, they're not going to be willing to sit back and wait and potentially get burned even worse than I am right now by having to sit back and wait. So we're going to say they trade up to number five to get their guy, which in this case will be J.J. McCarthy. 21 years old, very pro-style offense. I think he's going to the best situation of quarterback needy teams, arguably besides the Bears. You look at Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, Kevin O'Connell calling the plays and leading the way. It's a very, with a lot of the things, the tools that J.J. McCarthy has, the athletic ability, the arm strength, the size, a lot of things teams like, a lot of those traits. And then coming from that Jim Harbaugh offense, I think Minnesota in this case is going to look at that back. Yeah, we got the tools to have him succeed within like 2-3 years. They'll be cooking. I think they can get I think they look at him and say we can get at least Kirk Cousins out of him, if not more. So J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings, making it 4 quarterbacks and 5 picks, as most of us expect. Number 6, the New York Giants, who I really do think that the rumors of them being involved in the quarterback market are a lot of a smokescreen to try and get teams to trade ahead of them so that some of these guys will drop to them. I think they'd love Marvin Harrison Jr. to slip out for some reason, but I do think the idea is to get Malik Neighbors or one of those guys to drop to pick number 6, not let the Chargers and the Cardinals stand pat and take other players. So I think the Giants are basically trying to get arguably the best not quarterback they can. They already have a lot of money committed to Daniel Jones, and they brought in Drew Lock, who neither one of them. If Drake May is there at 6 or Jane Daniels, then maybe they pull the trigger. But I think right now their plan is to try and build up the skill positions around them, so that will send Malik Neighbors to the Giants. Pick number 7, Tennessee. Everyone's been saying Joe Alton. I agree. That is the smart pick. This is the one that makes the most sense here. For some reason, it feels like you brought in Calvin Ridley. You need offensive line help. There was a rumor of Brian Callahan saying like, hey, they might go skill position necessarily over offensive line. I just don't quite see that happening. So I'm going to stick with it. We're going to send Joe Alt to the Tennessee Titans. This one, they can go a lot of ways. They do have some different needs, but this just makes too much sense. Like, this is another one similar to Caleb Williams. If he's there, you pull the trigger on it. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're very much in the trade back business here. I think they're very willing to take a step back if they want, but I don't think they're going. You know what? We're gonna actually have a trade here. We're gonna go ahead and have a little bit of fun with this. So Atlanta's gonna be willing to trade back a few spots, but the surprise team I think that we're going to have climb up a little bit is the Los Angeles Chargers, who are going to go up 3 spots, and maybe they'll throw in like an extra third or whatever that pick is they get from Minnesota next year that we didn't account for. But either way, they're willing to still keep that extra first-round pick they got, but trade up a couple of spots here to climb the ladder. And I think the goal there will be to secure Rome Odunze before the Bears or the Jets or any of them could take them. We know Harbaugh is going to – they need receivers for Justin Herbert. They need offensive line. They need corners. But I think in this case, they're going to be willing to jump the gun to get Rome Odunze here. Big body with Justin Herbert's ability to let the ball fly. He could be a mix of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams for them. So Rome Odunze going number 8 to the Chargers. Number 9, we got the Chicago Bears, who I think were also very much in the Rome Odunze business. But I think that is why the Chargers felt the need to trade up a little bit. But I think they are going to stand pat and they are going to take Dallas Turner. You got your leader of the offense with Williams. You got Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, Tremaine Edmonds. You got some players on defense. I think here they'll add Dallas Turner as another edge rusher. You got Jordan Love and Jared Goff and now J.J. McCarthy in the division. You want to get screaming after them. And I think Dallas Turner makes the most sense here. That is a lot of speed off of both edges. Pick number 10, the New York Jets. Everyone's picking Brock Bowers for him these days. The smart move is to not take Brock Bowers, is to take offensive line. But it is the Jets, and I can see them getting a little bit greedy. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a long history of throwing to tight ends a lot, minus a year with Bob Tunyon, really. But I still think they're going to do it. I'm going to send Brock Bowers to the Jets. I think bringing Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, they'll think that'll be enough for this one-year run to try and maximize the Aaron Rodgers window. I still think Talisi Fuaga is the smart pick here, but we're going to say they go Brock Bowers. They go full greedy here. That to pair him with Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, just to load up on targets. Now pick number 11, the Atlanta Falcons. This is a tough one. I like Jared Verse. They have trouble getting after the passer. They have really not hit between Carter, Ebikita. They've had trouble hitting on edge rushers. So I think they're going to instead go to the secondary to pair A.J. Terrell and Jesse Bates. And I think they're going to go with Terron Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. Quinyon Mitchell, CB1. I think Terron Arnold's a close CB2. But I think they're going to go with Terron Arnold, the kid from Alabama in the SEC that they probably saw a lot of firsthand. So Terron Arnold is going to head to the Atlanta Falcons at pick number 11. Pick number 12, we have the Denver Broncos. They need picks and a quarterback. I think at pick number 12, there are some good quarterbacks, but I think they would be willing to trade back. And I think a team like Philadelphia is in the market to trade up. A couple of extra picks here. They have that extra second. I think Denver would gladly do that. So we're going to say Philadelphia flies up the board. There's a couple of players there. They could use Jared Verse to kind of take the place of Hassan Reddick, who they just traded, but you do have Nolan Smith for that role. I think they're going to go into the secondary, and Quinyon Mitchell is a cornerback one, in my opinion. Height, weight, speed, great tackler, great skills. Everything, and you pair him up with a veteran like Darius Slay, James Bradbury. Now C.J. Gardner-Johnson is like that nickel and safety hybrid. I think Philadelphia, the secondary was their weak point last year, and they were going to overcorrect it this offseason, including bringing in Quinyon Mitchell. Pick 13, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they wanted one of those two corners. I think that would kind of be the goal with what Antonio Pierce was looking to do. But I think with the way this board is falling, they're looking like we could get another tackle to help Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew help our run game. I like Talise Fuaga. Put him opposite of Colt Miller, a good left tackle. Secure your edges. Give Aiden O'Connell a chance to kind of game manage, pick the spots, or if it's Gardner Minshew, and then get the running game going too, because Fuaga is an absolute mauler. So we're going to go Fuaga to fill in that right tackle role. Pick number 14, we got the New Orleans Saints. They're kind of in a similar build. They need offensive line. They have drafted like 3 offensive linemen in the last few years and have not gotten a lot out of any of them. The question is, do they take Olu Fashanu, or do they like Jared Verse to put opposite of Cameron Jordan, get after the passer, kind of versify, or they got Laiatu Latu. There are some really good options here. We're going to go with Jared Verse. I think they need to be able to get after quarterbacks. They've invested a lot offensively. You have Cameron Jordan getting older. They haven't really been able to hit on the opposite edge spot from Cameron Jordan, so I think they'll bring in Jared Verse, whose athletic profile is similar to Myles Garrett. That's a conversation that a lot of you would love to be in that one, so we're going to go Jared Verse there. Pick number 15, the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of where there's smoke, there's fire here. I do think there is a very good chance they look to trade back in this spot. I don't know how far they're willing to go, but Cooper DeJean, they do need secondary help. Nate Wiggins or Kool-Aid McKinstry. They also do need some help with some playmakers too. I think they would be looking if Rome Odunze would have fallen past like pick 10 somewhere in here. They've been looking to trade up for him. But I think they're going to stand pat here. And with Brian Thomas Jr. falling to him, I think they're going to take the absolute speedster, who also stands at 6'4" out of LSU. Pair him with Michael Pittman, who plays a lot of the Z. Josh Downs, who plays out of the slot. Thomas could play a little bit of that X and a little bit of that Z role as well. Him and Alec Pierce can whoever you have in, they could absolutely take the tops off and open things up over the middle for Pittman and Downs and the running lates for Anthony Richardson. So we'll go Brian Thomas Jr. to the Colts at pick number 15. Pick 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Latu is a great fit here. They've had trouble getting pressure off the edges. Byron Murphy is a great fit here. They, once again, same story, different chapter. They have good players in the secondary, but a very limited rush. I'm going to go with Brian Murphy here. I think the versatility to play him up and down the defensive line, his ability to be absolutely disruptive. Him and Williams, if you could pair them in the middle, is absolutely. They need to get after Brock Purdy, and I think the best way is to push the pocket up the gut. You got to get after Matthew Stafford. You got to get after Kyler Murray. And Byron Murphy can give them that Aaron Donald-esque feel. Not saying he's anywhere near Aaron Donald, but they've seen what that kid's done to them did to them for a decade. So we'll go Byron Murphy to Seattle. Jacksonville at pick number 17. Latu would be a really good pick here. Him, Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen gives you a lot of the ability to get pressure off the edges. But with how much money they just paid Josh Allen and just drafting Trayvon Walker in the first overall pick a couple years ago, I'm going to lean more towards secondary for them. And I do like Nate Wiggins going here out of Clemson. Tall, lengthy, incredibly fast. Someone you can play opposite Tyson Campbell. Not the makeup speed to not get beat over the top. They already have Foyle, Louis Kahn, and Devin Lloyd over the middle. They have a lot of. I think this will give them something on the edges to avoid them getting beat over the top with a Richardson and a Stroud in your division and a Levis who can let it fly too. So we're going to go with Nate Wiggins to the Jaguars. Pick number 18, the Cincinnati Bengals. You know they want to get really greedy here. You know they want to go with something like Xavier Worthy or something like that. We're going to say they stand pat and they make the smart pick here. I'm going to give them Olu Fashanu, who I think they are surprise slips this far. He most likely won't. I think a lot of these teams could use his services. I think we just saw a little mini run of defense here is where I think the reason he was able to slip. And I think they would be gladly taken, if not Troy Fatanu. Both of them are great picks. I'm going to go with Fashanu because he's the slightly higher rated player. I like Troy Fatanu's ability to play guard, which Cincinnati needs as well. But they have the two Browns at tackle, but they need to just – the more assets, the better. Kick one of them to guard. Let Olu play guard at first. He's a great pass protector. Keep Joe Burrow upright. Pick number 19, the Rams. I think they're going to look at Latu, West Coast kid, and keep him right there, right in town. Not going to have to go very far. The upside with Latu is extremely high. He has a few moves he does incredibly well. A lot of room to grow as well. He's a fantastic player. And the Rams, they got to get after quarterbacks too now that Aaron Donald's gone. I think Byron Murphy would be the ideal pick if he slipped here. But Seattle doesn't let that happen. So Latu to the Rams. Pick number 20, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am holding out all hope that they will continue to invest in the offensive line, which has been their Achilles here for the last 5, 6, 7 years. They have not been able to protect Roethlisberger, Pickett, Mason Rudolph, everyone who's played quarterback for them they've had trouble protecting. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren have been productive, but it has not been as easy. You brought in Broderick Jones last year from Georgia. I think they followed up this year. I like J.C. Latham, the right tackle from Alabama. Absolute mauler. Put him on the right side opposite Jones. You got yourself some absolute tanks at both tackles. Troy Fatanu, I would like a lot here. I think he's going to play. I think he's more of a guard at the next level that can play tackle. I think he reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker a couple years ago. But I think Latham is more of a true right tackle is where Pittsburgh is going to lean towards this one. Which takes us now to Miami at pick number 21, who, well, everything I just said about that kind of applies here. They also very, very much do need to replace Christian Wilkins on the defensive side, which I think makes Johnny Newton a very prime candidate to go here. But we're going to go Troy Fatanu. The offensive lineman class here is very, very deep at the top. But then there's a little bit of a lull, and I don't think Miami's going to risk not getting their guy here. So we're going to take Troy Fatanu at pick 21. Denver, after the trade back and getting some picks, they're going to get themselves a quarterback. The question is Michael Penix or Bo Nix. I think they will go after Michael Penix here. I think Bo Nix, everyone is saying Bo Nix, and I agree with it. It seems like him, Sean Payton, a perfect mix. But I think Michael Penix's ability to just let it fly and make plays happen and his ability to run, which is underrated too. He's not very elusive like he used to be necessarily like his Indiana days, but straight line speed, I think he could still turn the corner pretty well. So we're going to say Michael Penix Jr. gets that first round pick to Denver. I think that he's a little bit more of a playmaker than Bo Nix, just by a little bit right now. I like them both a lot, but I think it's been Bo Nix pretty much every step of the way for Denver. I do like Michael Penix a lot here. I think Sean Payton can have a lot to work with there. Next, we got the Chargers here at pick number 23. Offensive line and corner right there are the two main things. This is tough because they do have the second round pick early on, which I think they will probably use more towards corner secondary. So I'm going to go ahead and give them offensive line. I like Amarius Mims, the big mauler out of Georgia. Put him opposite Rashawn Slater. Jim Harbaugh is going to want to run the ball and just get behind Mims and let him bulldoze. The play action game, he's an absolute load. So we're going to give the bookend tackles for Justin Herbert. Harbaugh is going to build a mauling team. I think Odunze was him getting a touch greedy pick earlier. I think it's still going to be hard-nosed. If we were doing second, third, fourth round, we'd throw in the Blake Corums and other guys too, but we're going to go with Amarius Mims here at pick 23. Pick 24 for the Cowboys. Offensive line is a huge need here. Same with receiver. See a couple here. The one I'm going to go with is Jackson Powers-Johnson. I think if he falls here, Cowboys fans will be absolutely elated. We could check in with Kelsey next time with him too. I think he would absolutely love this pick. When they were at their best is when they had Travis Frederick or the center position locked down. You just lost your center. A lot of money is about to go towards Dak, CD, and Micah Parsons. You need to keep Dak upright so he can throw to CD and get a lead so Micah Parsons can go hit quarterbacks. And that starts with Jackson Powers-Johnson holding down the interior and helping the run game, which they need to figure out as well. Green Bay, pick number 25. We've come full circle here. Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry. It started out a lot as Cooper DeJean just feels like a Green Bay Packers pick. Can play corner, can play safety, can play nickel. They need a little bit more help in that secondary opposite Yair Alexander. So Cooper DeJean to the Packers. Pick number 26, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could use some offensive line help. They could use some help at corner especially. I'm going to lean towards corner. We're going to give them Kool-Aid McKinstry just because set corner-wise, they've been a little up and down in the last few years. They haven't been able to lock that position down. So we're going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry, a couple back-to-back corners. Now Arizona at pick number 27, their second first-round pick. I think Kool-Aid or Cooper DeJean were the main guys they were looking at, but with the way the board fell, they will gladly also take Johnny Newton to play on the interior, get after the passer. You see kind of a trend here with this NFC West. They're trying to get after the passer with two of them taking interior defensive linemen after having to deal with Aaron Donald for all those years. So I think Seattle and Arizona are trying to take a page out of that book and add a little bit of an interior rush. Plus what San Francisco does with Armstead, did with Buckner over the years. Like I think we see teams starting to the best form of imitation is the best form of flattery. I think we see a little bit of that here at the NFC West. Buffalo at pick number 28. It's got to be a receiver after the Stephon Diggs trade. Question is, which direction do they go in? A.D. Mitchell is awesome. Ladd McConkey is a very interesting fit there. Xavier Worthy gives you an absolutely another dimension as far as taking off the top, a different level of speed. I am very torn here. I like Khalil Shakir. I think he could be that underneath guy. You throw it to him 3 yards, he gets you 15. He's very dynamic. He's a true punt returner with the ball, which is why, and they have the two tight ends in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and James Cook, a good receiving back. They're built a lot like those early 2010s Patriots that ran with Hernandez, Gronkowski, Welker. They could play like that. Xavier Worthy gives an absolutely another dimension to that offense to take the top off. He forces the safety to stay back on his side of the field. If the safety rolls down the deal with those tight ends or Shakir, Josh Allen can let it fly with the best of them. So I'm going to get a little greedy here. I think Buffalo's going to get a little greedy. They're going to look at Josh Allen's arm strength with Xavier Worthy. They're going to get greedy, and they're going to take that. If nothing else, he's going to pull safeties away so those two tight ends can work the intermediate side of the field is what they're going to be thinking. Just going to put Detroit at number 29. They have quite a few needs here, but I really like Chop Robinson. I think if any of those corners would have slipped to him, that would have been the direction they went to because their secondary needs some work. But Chop Robinson opposite Aiden Hutchinson gives them a little bit more, gives them more pass rush, hurries up the process with the quarterbacks. You got Caleb Williams, now you got J.J. McCarthy, you got Jordan Love. All of them can move too. And an athlete like Chop Robinson, he will fly off the edges next to Aiden Hutchinson. So we're going to go with Chop Robinson to Detroit. Baltimore pick number 30. I think they do need offensive line help. Tyler Guyton makes a lot of sense here. But with A.D. Mitchell sitting there, they could use some receiver help opposite Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman's been good, but I think the injuries have kind of slowed him down a little bit. There are rumors they could be in the Brandon Ayuk trade business as well. I think we're going to go with A.D. Mitchell here, though. I think they're going to trust their scheme to kind of make up a little bit for the tackles and trust Ronnie Stanley to stay healthy. I think a tackle will be a good pick here. But with A.D. Mitchell sliding to 30, I think that's tough for them to ignore as well. Pick number 31, by all intents and purposes, we are presuming that they still have Brandon Ayuk right now, and they work their way through that. If they trade him, it depends what they trade, and then they can work around that. I do think San Francisco could be very much in the trade market here. You go and take a look. I think there are teams that might want to trade back into the first round, maybe looking to get Bo Nix, maybe a New Orleans, a Las Vegas, a few of these teams here. But I'm going to think they're going to stay put. They're going to look at Tyler Guyton back. We need somebody opposite Trent Williams. we are not going to get Tyler Guyton to pick number 62. And I don't know if they really want to risk trading a little far back. So we're going to go and take Tyler Guyton because you do have Carolina, Washington, those teams right at the top of the second round who also need offensive line help. So I think they're going to stand, stick and pick, and that's where they will take Tyler Guyton. Kansas City, also in the same vein, Ladd McConkey, Jordan Morgan, I think they could use a lot. However, I think they will be willing to trade out of the first round because they do need a corner, and they probably need another receiver now, unfortunately. So I think they will be looking at like, you know what, we could probably just get a couple extra picks would be a safe bet. So as we look down list of some of these teams that could use a quarterback, I'm going to say Las Vegas is going to be willing to climb up. However, Kansas City is not going to trade with Las Vegas. So we're actually going to nix that one. We're going to go with a little bit of fun here. Let's see. Let's go with you know what? I like this pick, actually. Let's look at the Los Angeles Rams as a team that might be willing to climb back up. Pick 52. I don't know if the Kansas City is willing to go back that far. That's 20 spots. So right now we're looking to see what they're New Orleans, maybe, but they do have Derek Carr. I think they're going to be looking to build around him as well. So as you all could see, there's not a lot of room for teams to trade back. Maybe the Giants are willing to do it, but like we mentioned earlier, I don't know if they're willing to bring in Drew Lock. I don't think they're willing to quite pull that trigger either. Pittsburgh, not at all. As you see, there's not a great trade back market, I think, necessarily here. So we're going to stick and pick with Kansas City. And looking at they do need corner now. I like Ennis Rackstraw Jr. out of Missouri. I know Ladd McConkey is a popular pick. I know there's some really good receivers. They could use some receiver help. But I like Ennis Rackstraw Jr. too. They've been building defensively to putting Rackstraw next to Trent McDuffie. They won last year because their defense was elite, and I think they will continue that again to build on that, bringing in Rackstraw Jr. And you never know, if Trent McDuffie has to get paid in a couple of years and they can't keep him, then maybe Rackstraw takes this place. It's a little bit of rinse and repeat with Kansas City, and I think they trust their ability to plug and play receivers as well as anybody. But this is what we're looking at for our second to last mock draft Monday. Our final one will be our last episode the Wednesday before the draft. You definitely do not want to miss that. That is going to be me and Kelsey both alternating picks in the first round, as well as Tier Tuesdays with NFL prospects coming up for the rest of the week, for the next couple of weeks leading up to the NFL draft as well. And of course, catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, or one of your favorite places to listen to podcasts. We appreciate y'all for joining us. We will see you all again next time.